explain to me why the e-commerce, consumer-oriented stocks are rallying away so much. The e-commerce names, the tech names, even the EVs are rallying in China so much because those are more consumer-centric.
I think it's because institutional investors in the U.S., frankly, can memorize Alibaba and Tencent, and they can't memorize the names of some of the Chinese firms because they don't speak Chinese. So typically, a lot of these Westerners just put money into China, into the blue chips, into companies that they can pronounce. They all know Tencent, they all know Alibaba, they all know Baidu, Bilibili, JD. It's easy for them to remember. There's a lot of volume and a lot of liquidity, and so they've just shoved money in there. But when you look at the underlying problems in these companies, I actually think there's too much fraud. Bilibili and JD both have almost doubled. When you look at it, just 2-3 weeks ago, Walmart, one of the biggest shareholders in JD, sold out their entire stake at about 100 Hong Kong dollars and went up to 170, 180. So this rally on the Chinese techs is irrational exuberance. It's not based off of fundamentals. It's based, I think, clearly just because there's a lot of liquidity and the Western investors can actually remember and spell their names.
That's a whole nother story, Shaun. We have to save that conversation for another time. But I do want to ask you, as far as the measures that have been announced over the last week, is juicing the stock market going to be enough in order to, as you say, make those companies feel better about some of their investments, and then that translating into how the consumer then feels about their long-term income expectations? Because I hear what you're saying about the property sector. I mean, that seems to have been an engineered slowdown. It doesn't look like they're going to go back on that too much. And then the exports, I mean, what happened to dual circulation? I don't know. It seems to be the only thing that's happening for China right now. But it does look like they've had a bit of a wake-up call as far as the stock market is concerned after years of hammering the tech sector and the education sector and all the animal spirits over in China. So I'm curious to get your thoughts from inside the country, how people are really feeling about that.
I think it's going to take 6 to 9 months minimum for this mini stimulus to work its way into the system, to have the economy to grow and have wages continue to go up and to have hiring. One of the biggest problems in China today is it's too expensive to fire workers. So what a lot of companies are doing is they're lowering the salaries, they're demoting people, and they're generally making the lives of their employees awful because they want the employees to quit because then they don't have to pay a lot of severance pay. So they're doing that to try to cut 10% of the workforce. So what the workforce is doing is they're getting lazy because they know that they're never going to get big bonuses. So they're just sitting there waiting to see what's going to happen politically. That's why over the next 6 to 9 months, I don't see this mini stimulus helping the economy anytime soon because none of the new measures focus on employment. None of the measures focus on labor markets and severance. Until you get to that point, and until the government stops clawing back bonuses from previous years, you're not going to improve consumer sentiment because people wonder, is their money theirs? Is their job theirs? Or will the government come back and claw back bonuses from 2023? I've heard of people who've already quit their jobs, moved to Canada, and the state-owned enterprises are calling them up and saying, you know what, you got a bonus 2 years ago, you need to give your money back. How can you run and improve consumer sentiment when you have stupid laws and regulations like this that are being done by state-owned enterprises? The government needs to step in and stop this, what I consider to be theft of personal income.